What's up, family? Welcome back to the Stop Sinking Show, where we go from struggle to flow. I often sit and contemplate the meaning of life. I know I have nothing better to do, right? And not necessarily the personal meaning to my own life, but in the grand scheme of things. Why are we given life in the first place? What is the meaning of all of this? And what makes me think that there even needs to be a meaning to it at all? Maybe there is no meaning. Maybe we are just here to exist and do whatever and then fade away. But there are obvious constraints built into that. Even existence has a time limit. We age, so our capacity of enjoyment shifts and molds over time too. We physically can't do the same things through all ages of our lives. So in this finite sense of everything, this temporary nature of everything, is there a built-in meaning to be found there? If you just think about this from a logical standpoint, it makes it very difficult to make sense of it all. And although I don't believe that good explanations call on the supernatural, essentially an explanation can't rely on something that cannot be explained, I still don't know where to go from here. If you just think about the complexity with which our internal organs work, how we model the most complex systems after our brain and other functions of our body, there's no debating that we are a miracle of sorts. And I guess we can debate the source of this miracle, but for the purpose of my own axioms, I call it God, at least in how I make sense of the world today. So then I question why things were miraculously designed the way that they were. Why did God, in my axiom, choose for things to be the way that they are? Why did he design it this way? Is there some built-in meaning to the way the things are? And I read the other day, if God created us for this world, he would have created us without death. All of it is by some design, or we wouldn't age, we wouldn't deteriorate, we would live for thousands of years or forever. Why do we, almost perfect organisms with infinite capacity, why do we have the constraints of a lifespan? Isn't there something to that? Or what is it trying to tell us of how to live during that time? Since we all come and go, does that mean that there is some value to this time given? There must be, right? Or it would be permanent. Why would you put it past God that if he wanted, he could have created us with infinite time? But he didn't. Why is that? And everyone knows scarcity goes hand in hand with urgency and naturally increases the value of that thing. So then our scarce, limited time here is maybe meant to be used with some degree of urgency to make the most advantage of it. It has some inherent value just in those aspects. In basic deducing of the facts, you get to this, which is why I find it very difficult to believe that life has no meaning, especially human life. Just the very fact that it is scarce makes it valuable, and it's given to then a small percentage of creatures inhabiting this earth. It must all mean something. But you can decide what it means on your own, I guess. Regardless of what you say, you are acting out this explicit belief. Even if we didn't explicitly attribute it to a higher power or faith in something, that we still act this out. And how do I know that? Because you persist. You show up every day to your life. Even if you aren't doing it fully to your potential, you still show up to your mundane jobs. You show up to your roles and your relationships. If you didn't have faith, you wouldn't persist. You wouldn't show up. Even to survive, there's something that you want to survive for. You think that tomorrow will inherently have something in it that's better than today. You are acting out the very faith by the actions you are taking in all areas of your life. If you didn't have faith, you wouldn't persist. So if you are any less than what you would like to be, then it would be in the expansion of that faith that you already possess and act out. It would be in the acting out that faith in all the other ways to explore your potential, to persist in an expansive way because you are already acting this out. And I would argue that this seemingly inherent value that this limited, finite time called life has is that the purpose then is to use this valuable resource, this scarce time, to make the most of ourselves. In other words, explore the most of our potential as possible so as to experience most of life possible in the years allotted to us. If it was like a video game and completion stats were 100, the goal of life would be to take the amount of time allotted, the countdown in the corner of the screen, to maximize as many of those stats to get through as many levels and beat as many bosses and overcome as many hurdles as possible in that countdown. And that would seem like the best possible usage of that ticking clock. It wouldn't be to just stand there and watch it tick down. If there wasn't a ticking clock, the game would lose its parameters and meaning. See, me, like everyone else, when we want something, we look up at the sky and wish for it, ask for it to be granted, pray for signs and help. But since God is no granter of casual wishes, He requires the faith to have follow-up. He requires for us to make the most of the valuable time by expending our often reluctant effort that we hold back. That's the way that we prove worthy of our wishes, of His grants. That is what true devotion is. Your real devotion is in your deeds. The real prayer is what you do with your hands and the actions you take. You pray with your feet in the directions you move into. Because faith is not a passive activity. Faith is active. Expansion of faith is an expansion of your activity. Expansion of the actions you take. Taking more advantage of the limited opportunity that we have this time. More actions, the right actions, the ones that get you the most output for required input. Most stimulus for fatigue ratio. Most rewards for your effort. Like a pedal in higher gear as you get stronger. One strong push or a longer stride and more ground covered with each passing attuned action. Most possible exploration of potential against the shrinking of available time. That is what I believe we are here to do. The secret to our existence is right in front of us. It manifests itself in all the things we know we should be doing, but are avoiding. Go not to the temple, for your contribution awaits outside the cathedral walls. It is not in the bowing that your piety is expressed. It is in the active living out of the image of your ideal, where God is found. Seek not elsewhere, but in your daily deeds. The distance between you and the divine is measured and closed through your undertaking. The real worship, the only real worship, is execution. I love you, family. Stay true always. See you on the next show.